Why are we allowing others to trample over us? Why are we saying yes when we mean hell no? Why are we sacrificing our own needs for the sake of pleasing everyone else? Where are our boundaries? And why are we fiercely defending them? In a world where women often find themselves juggling multiple roles and expectations, where we often find ourselves stretched so thin, trying to meet everyone else's needs while neglecting our own, aren't you all over it? Why is it so damn hard to secure our boundaries? Aren't we too old, honestly, and too wise to allow this to continue? It's time to reclaim our power, to assert our boundaries, and prioritize our well being. Because failing to do so, we're paying such a heavy price. We risk our own mental, emotional, and physical well being. So if you're tired of feeling overwhelmed and undervalued, check this out. Today, I want to share a story about how I recently allowed a person to cross many, many boundaries. I will also share with you a hack for getting you to the bottom of this, because this I know for sure. If we don't learn how to guard our boundaries, the vampires will find you and they will suck the life out of you. Ladies, we weren't born yesterday. We all know what boundaries are. They're the invisible lines that help us navigate. They're there, we can feel them. They help us navigate with grace and confidence. They're like these personal guardrails to protect us, our space, our time, our energy, our feelings, everything in between. Boundaries are rules of engagement. We show others how to treat us, most women, including yours truly here. We understand this. Intellectually, we get it. We get it. We know where the line in the sand is. But yet, goodness, oh my goodness, emotionally, we are suckers and allow lines to be crossed all the freaking time. I know this shit. I work on this all the time, and yet here I am struggling with it. Just when I think I have it all worked out, a vampire always finds me, and it's just kind of like, ah. Just recently, I had this crazy breakup with someone, a toxic person in my life that was really intertwined in my life. Like she really was a big part of my world for a while and somehow turned the whole freaking thing into a circus. And this person crossed so many boundaries. Looking back in hindsight, the red flags were there, like waving big time from the beginning. I saw them. I chose not to follow my spidey senses though, because the good girl in me kicked in. The one that shows up with a cape. Oh my God, let me rescue her. Let me save her. I can help her. Blah, 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 blah. I do this all the freaking time. It's like, I feel so sorry for people, even though eventually I recognized my role in it. And I was like, you know what? Raising my hand. This isn't going to work. We're going to have to change some of these things because it's not working. And she doubled down. She sabotaged even more because that's how they roll. That's how vampires operate. I'm sharing my messiness with you, not to sort of give you my inside scoop and like, oh, look at what happened, poor me type of thing. No, I don't do the victim thing at all. Trust me. Like, hey, yes, it's embarrassing. Yes, I work on this. And hey, shit still happens to me. So perhaps if I can share some of my lessons from this, to help you avoid some of this, I want to help you discover your joy. And I know oftentimes these vampires are keeping us from our most joyous self. One of the things that I discovered many moons ago is a system that I have that is called NOD, NOD. It takes a focus away from the person crossing the boundaries and onto ourselves. We can't control how other people show up in this world, but we can control how we tolerate it. We can control what we allow. And so we need to focus more time here on this intersection between like when people do things to us and how we show up and how we respond. I take a piece of paper, I take 3 columns, and I write the letters NOD. Under N and naming it. You got to name the person. You know who they are. You know what they've been doing. And you know how they make you feel. Disrespected, ignored, dismissed. You got to name them. Is it your colleague? Is it your family member? Is it your kids? Is it your spouse? You know who they are. And the thing about naming them, the easiest tell is that they always make things about them. Whatever is happening, no matter what's happening in your own life, they will take it and turn it on themselves. Their needs, their wants, their desires. And they just brush you off. Write their names down. Hopefully there's not many, but you know who they are. Write them down. Column number 2, letter O. Own it. This is the hard part. You have to own your role. This is the hardest. You've got to take ownership of your role. If you are able to identify your ownership and your role in this, I promise you, this will become less and less of a problem for you. And instead of dealing with this all the time, continues like, oh my God, people cross the boundaries all the time. It'll be less and less. And it'll just be on occasion, like I am dealing with right now, like, okay, she snuck right in. Dang it. What's your role? So peeling back the layers, you gotta keep asking why. Why am I allowing this to happen? Why do I let this person always do this to me? Keep asking why. It's usually not the first answer. The answer, I'm gonna give you a hint. It usually has to do something with your childhood. You gotta go connect with the little girl inside of you, and she will tell you exactly why you allow all this stuff to happen. That's just the reality of it all. It never fails. For example, perhaps you allow your kids to walk all over you. Now, I was guilty of this for a while because my kids have some points of like, oh my gosh, they get away with a lot. Why? Because I was so busy trying to curate this perfect life for them with perfect childhood. But I gave and I gave and I gave so much that they just started taking and taking and taking. But it was from my own need of wanting to provide a childhood that I didn't get. Without any of the pain, any of the worries. So this curated perfectionist childhood was a complete disservice to them and to me and to our relationship. So understanding, okay, you need to really peel the layers back, understand why are you doing this. For me, for sure, with this person, the most recent thing is if I really spend time owning the why I allow this to happen for so long, is that I'm always trying to save people, especially wounded birds. You know who they are, right? They just show up in the world like broken. And I gravitate towards some of these women. Why? It's deeply rooted in my childhood. No doubt about it. No one showed up to rescue me. So I have to help them. Well, I love that I want to help women and be of service. I have to own it. I have to deal and reconcile with my own childhood. And yeah, no one did show up to save me. Does not mean that it's on me to go around saving other people. But my empathy wants to do that. My feelings of abandonment don't make me qualified to go around rescuing everyone else. Hey, I've got to remove that cape. So before I dump my energy onto others, I've got to sort of heal myself and say to that little girl, like, okay, you don't need to do this. Identifying this is really important because it sort of captures, okay, here are my tendencies, my part. I own it. For column 1, you've named it. Column 2, own it. Okay, column 3, the D. This is the best part, demand it. For you to demand your boundaries, you must be really, really, really clear on your non-negotiables, the deal breakers. You need to identify your core values. What are you not willing to do? Now, some boundaries, of course, like, okay, whatever, one and done, I'll pass. I let a lot of little things pass, but some core values to me, I know what's important to me. I got to stick to those core values. And if I stick to those core values, and if I demand that not only from myself, but from people around me, it becomes so much easier to deal with. My absolute non negotiable is character. Character matters to me that much. Really does. I need to be able to know that I can connect with you from a character standpoint. I always think of Maya Angelou, who is like the GOAT, wordsmith of all time. And when she had a quote that once said, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And that is so true for me. I know if I follow my spidey senses, I'm so big into getting to know people who they are by asking questions and really diving in that I usually am right on point. My instincts are so on point, like, yeah, this isn't right. Because I can always tell the people who are interesting are also interested, who people who show up and I also reciprocate by asking questions about you, or the ones that are just from the get-go are like, take, take, take. I'm like, okay, red flag, red flag. Once you know what your core values are, what your non negotiables are, this becomes so easy. You named it, owned it, and then you go back to who you are at the core, like, okay, this doesn't work for me. Then it's super easy. If these 3 columns don't reconcile, then it's like, bye bye, see ya. They don't belong in your life. And if they're family and you can't really cut them off, it's really easy to start establishing the like at arm's length is what I say. Like, I will love you at arm's length. I don't need you to be in my inner circle. It just makes me happier. I am able to protect my joy. life is just smoother that way. So there you have it. Honor your boundaries. Honor them, honor them. They're so important. They will help you keep the right people, opportunities, and habits in your life. Saying no is a full sentence. Remember this. Check out this quickie, The Power of Saying I'm Sorry. I think you'll really, really appreciate it and enjoy it.